Oh, hello. Fancy seeing you here. How are you? Hope you're having a good day. It's a roaster. It's a sculpture. I can got my shorts on. It's 16th of June today. It's my birthday, incidentally. But we don't talk about that. Yes, the 16th of June, Friday, very hot. And I'm off to the cinema. I'm off to see The Flash. Yeah, I'm finally going to go. I'm a bit indifferent about it, really. I am more of a Marvel boy. And the DCEU has been such a mess. And we know the DCEU is going to have some massive changes coming up in the next year or so. So it sort of feels like these films that we've got coming, the next 3 DC films, are a bit of an afterthought. Not so much an afterthought, but unnecessary, I suppose. We got Ezra Miller's The Flash. We're not going to see this version of The Flash again. We got Blue Beetle, which looks terrible. The trailer to me looks like some sort of TV movie from the 90s. And we got the Aquaman sequel, which I'm sort of looking forward to because I like the first one. But again, you think, well, it's going to be a clean slate after that. Anyway, I'm going to go and see it, of course. It's had pretty good reviews. People are raving about it and saying it's wonderful. I think mainly because of the fan service and all the callbacks, which, of course, always wins over the hardcore fans. But I'm hoping it's going to be a couple of hours entertaining and in the shade because it's very warm today. So, I will come back after this in a couple of hours' time to let you know what I thought of The Flash. Whoosh! Bang! And we're back in the room. Back to The Flash a few hours later. Directed by Andy Muschietti. This has been a long time coming. And it's the latest and one of the last in the DC Extended Universe movies. Is it any good? Well, yeah, it's not bad. It's quite enjoyable. Now, you'd have seen a lot of YouTube videos from the more ardent Marvel fans who will declaim that this is the best film ever made. This is fantastic. This is a 10 out of 10 film. This is wonderful. This is fantastic. It's not a 10 out of 10 film. It's not. It's not even a fantastic film, but it is, by DC standards, not a bad effort. It's enjoyable, and it has a lightness, which I think has been the problem with DC's films over the years, mainly due to the influence of Zack Snyder, who in the early days with Man of Steel and Batman v Superman and Justice League imprinted this darkness about these characters, and I think that didn't play to their strengths, and it created a universe that wasn't particularly welcoming and inclusive, particularly as it's running parallel to Marvel, which has always been it's always had a lightness about it, and a sort of you want to watch Marvel films. And I've often found with DC films it's been an effort to sit and watch them because they're not fun, and I think you have to enjoy these things. You have to balance the light and the dark to create a really enjoyable viewing experience, particularly with this sort of material. So, The Flash then is a decent movie. It's not bad. It's entertaining. It's very colourful. It's crazy. It does that stuff that these superhero films are doing now. It's the multiverse stuff. Now we've had all this rammed down our throat more recently in Marvel films, that the multiverse, and even in things like Everything Everywhere All at Once. The multiverse is a thing at the moment. People seem to love investigating the possibilities of these alternative universes. Personally, I find it quite as dull as dishwater, because ultimately it means that there are no real stakes, because there are so many different versions of different characters and different multiverses. Why should we really care what happens to anybody? Because if somebody dies, they can just pick one from another multiverse and drop them down into the ongoing story. I mean, we've got the Spider-Man animated films at the moment, which are multiverse crazy, and that's something which I'm not that interested in. The thing I like about superhero films, and the thing I liked about Marvel, is that sort of grounded aspect. These were crazy, wild, imaginative adventure science fiction stories, but by and large they took place in a recognisable, identifiable world. That's something I've always liked about my type of science fiction that I like. I'm not that much into outer space science fiction. I like stories about contemporary people in a contemporary world dealing with the extraordinary, and I think that's what Marvel has done at its best in its early films. And of course they're branching out now because they have to, because they've lost a lot of the big hitter characters and they've got to go down different avenues. And I think that this whole multiverse thing, I just find it a bit of a bore. And it's a shame because that's really what this film is basically hinged on. The story basically, as you probably know, stars Ezra Miller as Barry Allen, who's also the Flash. We've previously seen him in Justice League, and was he in Batman v Superman? Actually, I can't really remember because a lot of the DC films have washed over me as poor relations in a way. He's the Flash, and there's a really fun sequence at the beginning where he's called to a Justice League mission to save the city from a virus in Gotham City. He has to go to Gotham City where a virus has been stolen from a laboratory which, if it's released, could cause devastation across the world. Batman is on the scene. Of course, Ben Affleck is back as Batman. Another character turns up. I think it's publicly known who the other character is, but I'm not going to spoil it here just in case. And we see a quick flash of what's supposed to be Superman, who is halfway across the world plugging up a volcano to explain Superman's non-appearance. It's a good fun sequence. It's crazy as well. It's very imaginative. It's very funny, particularly a scene where a building collapses, a maternity wing of a hospital, and all the babies and the assorted paraphernalia just plunge up through the window and are heading towards the tomb. It's quite a potentially scary sequence. You've got all these happy-looking babies plunging towards their deaths, and of course the Flash has to use his super speed to save them all. It's a really clever, probably my favourite sequence of the film actually, because it's great. It looks really good. It's very funny, very well done. The story then carries on that the Flash discovers that he can use his super speed to travel back in time. Now his mother has died. His father has been accused of the murder, but he goes back in time to save his mother's life, thus creating another multiverse, and this sort of leads into the thrust of the whole story. In this alternative universe he creates, he meets Barry Allen himself, played again by Ezra Miller, but this Barry Allen doesn't have his powers yet, but Barry realises it's the day he can get his powers, so he helps him become the Flash. In doing so, they want to track down other superheroes to help them, particularly Batman. We see Michael Keaton back, and that, of course, is one of the big USPs of this film. Michael Keaton is back as Batman. He's now retired, jaded, a little bit older. Batcave's been closed down and mothballed. But the Barry Allens persuade him to come back, get him to take up arms again, because General Zod, played again by Michael Shannon, as he was in Man of Steel, in this universe, he is attacking Earth because he's after a certain DNA code. It's all convoluted and complicated. This ultimately leads to them trying to find Superman, but Superman doesn't exist on this world. Superman never arrived on this world. But it appears that NASA does have a capsule from space that was recovered many years ago. Inside of that capsule is a young woman who is Kara, of course, who's Supergirl. So the long and the short of it is that these four plunge into battle against Zod. The struggle to go back in time to change events gets worse and worse and more out of control. It's enjoyable. I mean, you'll have seen a lot of reviews. You'll read a lot of reviews. Particularly, you'll see YouTube reviews who will be in paroxysms of delight about this film. And we saw that when the trailer was released, because you had Michael Keaton doing the "I'm Batman" and quoting some of the lines, a couple of lines from his first film back in 1989. That has been enough for some people to already declare this a masterpiece. And there are lots of callbacks. As I said, Ben Affleck is back. There is a sequence at the end, which is very well done, with lots and lots of cameos. I'm not going to say who they are, just see them all unfold. And it's very well done. Some of them are quite poignant. But that is enough for a lot of people to give this a 10 out of 10 pass. I need more than that. I need a story that works and gels, and I need certain emotional beats and things. And, just seeing a flashback of an old character from years ago isn't quite enough for me. But it is for a lot of people. So it's possible that you might be misled by people who are declaring this a masterpiece, one of the greatest superhero films ever made, because it isn't. But it is, by DC standards, a very good, solid entry. Now, as you know, DC's been very hit and miss. In the last year alone, we've had the fairly poor Black Adam and the very good, but very, very frustratingly unsuccessful Shazam! Fury of the Gods. I still can't understand why that film did so badly. It may well be a casualty of the DC reinvention as the Flash. Maybe I don't know if it's going to do very well, because people are going to think, well, we're not going to see this character again. And that is one of the things I took away from the film. It was nice to see some of these characters again, because I do like these characters, much as I love the Marvel characters. I also grew up reading DC comics, so I like Wonder Woman, I like Batman and Flash and all these characters. I've enjoyed them, and I have fond memories of them in the comics. And I want to see them done well on the screen. I want to see them have a future. And you watch them in this film and you think, yeah, this is all well and good, but I'm not going to see any of them again. And so it does give you a sort of sense of you're wasting your time in a way. I have to talk about Ezra Miller, obviously. He's been a source of much controversy over the last couple of years with elements of his behaviour. First point, of course, I've got to make is that he now identifies as non-binary, so his preferred pronouns are they and them. I have and probably will continue to refer to him, as he, because they're preferred pronouns, but they're not obligatory ones, they're not legal ones. So until it's illegal for me to call Ezra Miller he, I'm going to end up calling him he. And that's not a bigoted point of view, it's just a practical point of view. For grammatical reasons as much as anything else. So anyway, he acquits himself fairly well in this film. He is annoying in both incarnations of Barry Allen. I think he's less annoying as the version that we know, because he has an agenda and he has things that he wants to do. The non-Flash Barry Allen in the alternative timeline, if you like, hugely irritating all the time. He's quite funny in places, but Ezra Miller himself as Barry Allen the Flash is a bit irritating, so you've got two of them together, which doubles the irritation factor. But it could have been worse. There are some quite witty lines here. And I will say for him, at the end, there's a fantastically poignant scene which really connected in a strange way, when there's just a simple moment in a supermarket, and I think he performed it very well, and it was quite emotional. So that's The Flash. Yeah, I did enjoy it, and I was, as I said in my preamble, I was sort of indifferent to it, really. But I wanted to see it because I've seen all the other DC films. I want to see where they're going down these last few films. And so don't go in thinking it's just going to blow your mind, it's going to be the best superhero film experience you've ever had, because it won't and it isn't. But it is one on the plus side for DC as it winds down its extended universe. So The Flash is in cinemas now. Oh yes, I suppose I must comment again. There's been some reference to poor special effects. There's so many special effects. I mean, the whole film is a special effect. And I think generally it's pretty good. There's some stuff that the whole thing of the Flash running is never convincing in a way, because when you see it, you'd have seen it already, but the way they make him look as if he's running doesn't always, it doesn't convince me as the way that somebody with this power would run. But the effects are generally pretty good. There are a lot of them, and some are better than others, but there are so many of them. I personally didn't see anything especially ropey. But then it is very effects heavy, and if you are inclined to look out for those sort of things, you probably spot things that don't work as well. Most of it seemed okay, but as I said, it's just wall-to-wall effects, so there's going to be some that look better than others. Right, anyway, The Flash, as I said, is in cinemas now. Take a look, see what you think of it. I'm going to give it 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10. So certainly better than average, but not top tier Marvel sort of quality. If you've seen it, let me know what you think of it. Leave a comment down below if you're planning to see it. When you do, leave a comment. You can also press that there subscribe button. That will be a fantastic thing to do. Do me a favour. Press the subscribe button. Like and leave a comment and share and tell your friends, because there's lots of stuff coming up. Right, thank you for watching. I will see you very soon. I'm out of here.